everything I say I learn. Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's my word.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our collab channel, Watch Your Best Friends. Where today here we're going to give y'all different takes on dating, relationship, and marriage while posing the question, can love survive different lifestyles? And I could not do this alone. Joining me on the collab channel is the other half of this, Mrs. Best. Y'all say what's up to her.
What's popping? Good evening. Welcome in. I do hope that everybody considers like, sharing, and subscribing. And to those who are catching the replay, you are very much a part of this as well. So feel free to answer the question that is pinned in the chat and or in the comments. I'm done.
Yes, you have to do the housekeeping rules, you guys. Hey, Shayna, thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much. You guys, so we are going to be talking about different scenarios. Now, these are real life scenarios that I actually found online that I'm going to go ahead and talk about. We're going to, have some warm-up questions, and we encourage everybody to participate in this. As me and Mrs. Best, we don't always have the right answers, but we try to help where we can based on our own life's experiences, especially if it's a situation that we've been through. Yes. So let's go ahead and get our slideshow going. So so dating, relationships, and marriage, can love survive different lifestyles? So I have posed a question here that I want Mrs. Best to answer. Is, do you think people were more unfaithful in the 1990s or the 2000s?
The 2000s, child. Wait.
That's a hard one. I saw this question
because the 90s, like, there was not technology, so it was what you could catch.
Yes,
it was what you could catch. So I feel, so we couldn't really measure the data. I feel like it's pretty even, though. I feel like people are nasty and still cheating. That's just my thing.
My logic is, I feel like people probably cheated more then because they're able to get caught easier now with technology. So I think that people cheated more in the 1900s than the 2000s in the 21st century. I do. I think people cheated way more then because there was more opportunity to do it. We don't condone cheating. It is not something that we feel anybody should do under any circumstances when you have somebody. But humans are imperfect people, and that's what they do. So overall, I just don't think that is something anyone should do, but they did it. And I think the 1900th century of it all, they definitely cheated more. That's just my opinion. But let me know in the chat. Let me know in the replay. What's your answer to this question? Because this is actually a really good one. So, overall, we're going to then get into the situation. So we have about 5 scenarios of different situations, different questions we're going to pose, and we encourage you all to participate. So the first thing we're going to address, single Black successful women. So the question that we asked Mrs. Best and myself is, do you think there are more single Black women, and why? My answer to this question is yes. I do think that there are more single Black women than there are men. And why? There's lots of different reasons of why. I don't know if there's actually going to be a one why situation because every person is different. Some of what my friends tell me why they're so single as successful Black women is because a lot of the times when they're successful, they tend not to find the men that make the same money. That's usually an issue. And it's not the issue that the men don't make the same money, is that usually there's an ego drip with them when the women bring it up. Now, if that is an issue, I want people to be fair with this. So when you say a man doesn't make as much as you do, I want people to ask the question. So if you made $100,000 a year, would you get mad that he only made $96,000?
No.
Some women have a problem with that. I don't. To me, that's the same thing.
Are they alone?
Yes.
Let's keep it a buck. As long as someone makes enough to take care of themselves and provide for themselves, I think that is fair. Now, if you're somebody making more than 100K outside of California, because 100K here will qualify you for food stamps. But if you're outside of California making a great income or a significantly higher income, something that is considered in the six figures, I can understand wanting to have somebody who matches your level, but if it's just a couple thousand less, they're probably seeing the same checks realistically anyway because of what you have to pay in taxes and stuff. So I don't see the deal, but I know some women are stuck on income. And you have to remember, as long as he makes enough to cover y'all, if you lose everything, that's all that should matter. And sometimes you might find someone who could lose a job, go through stuff, you know. You want to know that your partner can provide when things like that happens. But a couple $1,000, if you tripping off that, that's why you alone. I said.
Yes. Now, another reason that could be why, and then, you know, this hit me because one of my girlfriends I was just talking to, she comes across our channel all the time. I'm not going to put her name out there because she asked me not to, but she said that we were doing a recap on a show, and I can't remember which show I looked through the text message, but she said we had talked about how more Black women should date outside their races. Whatever live that was, I had said that I wish Black women would encourage themselves to try different nationalities of men because you just never know what you may be able to find and what you could be able to relate to, you know, someone in a different nationality as you. You know, it could be, hey, you might find someone who is German and, you know, and they like the same things you like. Does it mean you shouldn't date him because he's not Black? I don't know. Like, I feel like that's another thing that we're seeing a lot is that a lot of Black women wait on Black men. And it's unfortunate because I know when I started dating men, I wanted to be with a Black man because I kind of wanted to get rid of that stigma of, you know, wanting to be with, because when I was with women, I did not date Black women. So I was like, okay, with men, I'll date a Black man and just kind of put it on like that. So I don't know. I think this world kind of,
Why didn't you want to date a Black woman?
After my ex, the one that you do know, I didn't feel good enough for her.
But what that got to do with the rest of them?
That's what I'm saying. You have to remember, I was young then. I didn't really realize.
Now. So what's your reason now? If you were, because you say you still dip in the lady pond here and there. Yeah. You have to meet a need. But why? Like, would you dip in the lady pond with a Black woman?
I have.
You just said you don't, though. I'm so confused.
No, I said I did when I was with women, when I was, you know, before I dated men. No, I didn't date Black women. But when sex wise, no, I definitely would be with a Black woman. I have several times.
Huh.
Yeah.
But you won't date though, just sex?
We had an agreement. So I haven't met one that.
Would you date them or is it just sex?
What we're talking about right now is just sex.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, just sex.
You date a Black woman?
Yes.
No,
if I go back to women, yes, I would. Obviously, I would. Yeah. One that will have me, of course, because you know, some of y'all Black women
have you.
Yes, some of y'all Black women, when a man already done been with another man, y'all typically don't want us. So
that's not just Black women, that's all women. I think that's the thing people got to understand. A heterosexual woman, I don't want to date a man that's dated both ways. And honestly, I feel like a lot of heterosexual people would feel that way. And it's not a judgment, don't mean nothing wrong. It's just a preference. Kind of like the gay date the gays, the lesbians date the lesbians, it whatever their situation is. But yeah, you can't say no to that heterosexual energy. Can't tell us how we feel.
She been in Oakland too long, y'all, because in Phoenix, it do not work that way. I promise you.
In the rest of the world, it does, though. I've been out of Oakland, all over the country, have friends that live all over the country and world. And almost every single human I know that identifies as heterosexual feels that way. And I think a lot of people that aren't heterosexual try to fight that. But the same way we can't tell others in the community how to feel, they can't tell us. But most heterosexual persons want a person that's heterosexual unless they're a hoe ass man and they want to see the girl action. But other than that,
so why is that okay?
It's not okay. That's bullshit. We speak on it all the time. That's the problem. A lot of
y'all women do, but the men, but that's okay. And No, it is for a lot of people. It's okay
For
because a lot of
men,
for
I don't know
men,
why
a man
they
won't turn you
accept
down.
a woman doing that with a woman, but when it
Hmm.
comes, and that's like an American thing, when it
It
comes
is.
to a man who dates men and women, people are like, it's taboo, but it shouldn't be. All I know is if you're heterosexual, you don't want to deal with any of that. So makes sense.
Anyway, yeah. No, but like I said, come to Phoenix, y'all. That does not matter. These women will take you
Well, clearly
no
Phoenix
matter
is an
what.
outlier. Clearly, based on the shows we cover, Phoenix is not going to be an example that we reference for dating. At
Yeah.
this point, all that James has
That's
told
why
us,
I said.
we
That's why I keep telling her, y'all. If she can,
no,
if
no, no.
come
But
in
he
for a
says he keeps
year.
telling me stuff, but he knows stuff about Phoenix. But then for some reason, keeps referencing dating and stuff to a place that's obviously an outlier. So let's not acknowledge Phoenix and acknowledge the rest of the sane world that exists, because clearly everything that's normal, whether you gay, straight, a polka dotted camel, or a goddamn that elephant that's running rogue after killing the people in Africa, you know what I'm saying? Either way, Phoenix is going to still be that weird outlier. So at this point, I'm done with Phoenix, throwing it in the trash. We
Well,
need to
I only can
acknowledge
speak
what
to
it
where I
is.
live. That's why I said that's not fair
But
for me
you
because
don't even want to live there. So
I
pick where you
don't. What
want to
is that?
go and base it off of what's normal so people can relate.
But
Because half of our subscribers ain't even in Phoenix or the
no, I
Bay.
get that. But what I'm saying is that don't say it don't exist when it do. I'm just saying.
In
But boom,
Phoenix.
boom, boom. Yeah, in Phoenix, exactly. So in the last century, do you think that's still true, or do you think that was still true?
In the last
Like
century,
in the last century, do you think that there were
it's
more
a long
single
time.
women? Yeah, I think so.
In the last century, I would definitely say we have more single women than we have had men, because we have to think the century was at 2026 to 19 something, but not as far back as we would go.
Hmm.
Yeah. It used to be where marriage, like the American dream, you want to get married, you got to have kids, like all these boring things. Now women are more okay with being single and waiting until they find a person that can support them. And there's statistics that show humans are making less kids, especially me and James's generation, millennials and Gen Zers. We're having less kids because we're not getting married and we're tired of the single parent stuff because it's not as cool as everyone tried to make it seem. So,
Absolutely. People try to make it seem like,
oh, did you mute?
okay, I should be fine now. Sorry, I had this weird thing on my screen, so I was trying to get rid of it, and hit the mute button. But no, I think people, yeah, definitely tried to glorify like this whole baby mama, baby daddy, mother, child, mother, father, child situation, and try to make that as some sort of like contractual agreement that is mental. And I feel like we still are in that segue, and we need to get out of that. Like we really do. So I'm glad that our generation is definitely coming to a factor of no, that's not the way it should be. We should bring children in healthy environments. We're definitely getting a handle on that. And the last question for a 16 single black successful woman that can actually apply to anybody, which is why I wrote it this way. Do you think that any person, male, female, or non-binary, should settle? And that's with anything. Should they settle with someone's income if that's not really where they see it, nationality, sexual orientation? Do you think people should just settle?
I think that if people are thinking of settling based on those independent factors, that could be, of course, like a reason why some people, the heck is going. Okay, y'all, I live in the Bay Area. I live right by a BART station, and I see people outside. It's very cold with a thong on, then, and LED lights that had smoke coming out of them, and it took my whole thought process. But no, you should not settle. But I think that people have to understand the difference between settling and compromising. I notice a lot of the people I see that are single, regardless of where they live or how they date, they view compromise as settling, and then they'll sometimes mess up something good that they have because of that. Like I've seen a lot of my female friends do that, and it's unfortunate. And I get that we want people to have the things that we want. And I hate to use this guy as a reference, but Tyler Perry's 80/20 that he gave us in Why Did I Get Married, the first movie, that's actually a really good way to think, because it's unrealistic that you're going to find someone that's 100% what you want. And that's not settling, it's just compromising and weighing, does the good outweigh the bad? And is the bad something you can deal with if it's not so good, you know? But
Absolutely. Well said.
shouldn't settle.
Well said. And that is my sentiment exactly. I do feel like people in this world do settle for things because they're afraid of being alone. You should never settle. I don't settle on the things that I like. I am very clear on what I like and what I, want in somebody. And I'm not going to date somebody different just because I don't get those things. So I feel like a lot of people should definitely have standards and definitely pick people that are going to suit you and and when you choose people that you're going to always have some base level attraction to. Always should have a base level no matter what happens, which is why I do the dimple thing. That's always a base level attraction to me. No matter what happens, that is always going to bring me back to you. And I think that I always had that clear understanding when I started dating men, is that that has to be something that happens. People thought it was superficial and obnoxious, but what people don't realize, that is a base level thing that I need because I never want to lose attraction in somebody because looks fade, but those never go anywhere. So that's where, we have to kind of look at it like that. So no, never settle, people. Just kind of like Mrs. Best said, know the difference between compromising and settling because they are two different things, have totally two different definitions. So now that we addressed the single black successful woman, we're going to address this black successful single man. So why are successful black men single after 30? This is a common question that I saw. So honestly, it ties into the second question: why are men afraid of commitment? Because I was going to say afraid of commitment, but why are men afraid of commitment? Men, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and y'all not gonna like me for this, but it's okay because we are here to help so that people can really get out of their own way. It's not that y'all are afraid of commitment, y'all are afraid of being held accountable. And that's because it's something that is very rare, especially in our black community, for men to be held accountable. I unfortunately, well, to my benefit, unfortunately for me, but unfortunately to people who weren't, I was always held accountable because I had a single mom. And whenever I messed up, my mom was there to point it out. She didn't laugh and try to look over it. She didn't say, oh, that's just a boy being a boy. My mama gave me the exact scenario what I did wrong, told me I need to be accountable for whatever bad decision that I made, and let me know it's not okay and do better next time. And my dad was the same way. So it wasn't always just my mom. My dad, so my parents were kind of yin and yang. My dad was the person who just kind of talked me through things. Like whenever I would do something wrong, my mom would go grab the belt. My dad was more for reasonable conversation. James, what did you get out of that? Why did you do it? How did that make your life easier or better? And by the time he got to the third or fourth question, I was like, yeah, Dad, I'm sorry it happened. I was done. My mama then, she was the whooping ass type. So, that's what happens when you have a black mama. That's what they do. So I think that why a lot of black men that are successful after 30, a lot of them are selfish, don't want to share. That's one thing. I noticed that with a lot of black men, they typically do not want to share. And that's kind of sad because in no way should you ever be selfish with what you can obtain, especially if you meet somebody and they don't have as much as you do. So I think that that's another thing of why black men are single after 30. Mrs. Best, what are some reasons for you of why you think black men are successful black men are single after 30?
From most of the successful black men that I know that are single past 30, they tell me that the quality of woman has gone down. That is what they say to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I also think like black women, black men they know what they want, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna go off of what the single black men I know say, because I've got a lot of them in my family who are attorneys, who are successful, own their homes, travel. They seem to struggle to find women who are with them for the view of love versus for what they can provide them. Or something I hear like my brothers say, because both of my younger brothers, they're approaching 30. And one of them has a degree and is doing well in all of these things. And he's just like, it's hard to find a woman who doesn't want to like have sex immediately or who's not interested in like what they can make, like their pay stubs, things like that. So it just sounds like it's hard for them to sift through the baddie era that we are currently dealing with, you know? But it's interesting because it seems like there's good people out there. They just can't seem to find each other, just as a person from the outside looking in. And I don't think that men are afraid of commitment. I think that men, I mean, just based on what I'm learning in school, men's brains take much longer to develop, much longer than we're even taught that they take to develop. You're really not looking at a man whose brain is fully there and where it needs to be till they're 35. And then where a man's brain at 35 is at is where a woman's brain was at 25. So it's still always going to be that delay. So I don't think it's that they're afraid of commitment. I think a lot of them don't know how to go about it, specifically with Black men. Unfortunately, a lot of them also have toxic relationships with their mothers or their fathers or both. And I think that that impacts them heavily, just as women who have toxic relationships with our mothers and fathers, we're impacted differently. Like social psychology, applied social psychology says that we're all essentially acting out what we were taught, what we saw, or trying to be opposite of what we were taught or saw. So I feel like that's what it is. But just because someone's successful after 30, I don't think it means they're afraid of commitment. And just because a Black man is single for much longer, some of the good ones say, I know I'm not done playing the field, so I'm just not going to be married. Like I have seen some that are like that, but
I've
that's
seen
just
those
what
too.
they say. But I feel like it's either they're struggling to find a quality woman or they definitely just have some sort of effed up childhood things that they need to address.
Yes, and I would say I don't think men are afraid of commitment either because y'all stay committed to them barbers. So I don't feel like y'all are. Yeah, I don't feel like
They be
men
committed
are.
to barbers, they be committed to their mamas, and they be committed to them sports.
Yes,
Okay, so they can commit. I
they
just
can
think
definitely
men are
commit.
more selective in who and when they commit. Like, and I
Absolutely.
think that's the same with any man, straight, gay, anything in
hmm
between. I've noticed that my gay friends, they are very specific on what they want and what they're looking for and what they date. My male friends that are not gay are very specific in what they want and what they date. And I think something women could learn from men in is find what you want. Don't just be dating any old person who treats you nice. Find who you want and be more selective.
Nothing wrong with being selective, ladies. I know that a lot of people were not taught that, but no, life is about being selective. It really is because one bad decision could change a whole lot in your current life that's going well. I'm just saying. So, this question was really interesting, and I wanted to get your take on it. And I found it, and someone said, "By the design of life, are relationships meant to happen?"
Not the design of life. Um, it depends on how you view the design of life. That's kind of a hard question to answer.
It is. That's why I put it here because I was like, by the design of life. Because realistically, if we're thinking about this on like a science level, yes, relationships are meant to happen because that's how reproductive happens. So, yes, relationships have to happen for those. So, yes. But if we're looking at the psychology of it, I don't know. I don't know. That was a very interesting question. Shout out to that commenter who wanted to be anonymous on Reddit. But hey, that was a really great question because you had me stumbled. I was like, I wonder how Mrs. Best feels about that.
Well, according to psychology, most people feel the need for companionship, which aligns with a relationship.
Right.
Um, so it depends. Some people are okay with just having friendships, and some people are not. But I think that there's something in psychology called nature versus nurture.
Yes.
It's a debate, and what that basically is it's just looking at our innate need to feel like we need to make a baby or have a relationship. And that is coming from biological factors and processes that go back to the reason that humans were put together. Woman, man, together, baby, to populate. So I think it all comes back to that. By the design of life, though, the way psychology operates is, it's the nature versus nurture, because you want the relationship, but you don't actually have to have one. You can lay down with someone and have a kid and still be okay. And that's where a lot of research with the LGBTQ community actually comes in handy, because many of them go against the design of life and nature and how it's supposed to be with how you have kids. It's a fact. And they do it in other ways. Some people do it the ghetto way and lay down with Keisha from around the block that they grew up with and they both wanted a baby. And then some people choose to adopt or use a sperm with an egg donor and all of that. So by the design of life, are relationships meant to happen? Yes. But by the design of life, are romantic relationships meant to happen? Yes. But in terms of monogamy and all of those things, it's actually a big question mark. But people will always crave that compatibility, but it goes back to biological factors such as making a kid, populating the earth, and things like that. Sorry to nerd y'all up for a while.
No, this is why we're here. And then because I didn't want to do it. So yes, you had to do it. So yeah. Because I was gonna say that
Like
exactly.
I've been writing papers and shit all week, not trying to apply the shit here.
Yes.
I need a break.
But this is why we're here. We're trying to educate people. This is why we're here. But that question was so interesting to me, so I had to put it down. So now we're going to go ahead and get into our married couples now. So I found two couples that have very interesting components. I kind of cliff noted it to say what their issues were, and we're going to talk through them. So our first couple have been married for 10 years. His name is Brian. He is a flight attendant, and Celestial is a construction worker. So their issues of marriage day to day is that they both have demanding schedules, stressful jobs, and opposite schedules. Their dynamic when together commenced, date night is planned once a month, and communication is constant. And the oppose is sex is less often, and complacency is a huge factor. So we're getting that they're both comfortable with where they are in their life. They don't seem to need to change it. Sex is less often, which for a married couple does happen. Um, Commence date night is planned once a month, so they do make an effort, and their communication is constant, which is also very healthy. So when we look at the baselines of their dynamic and then what they're going through on a day to day, what do we find here? Do we find a couple that is going to come through some obstacles with sex being less often and complacency, meaning that they're just comfortable with where life is? Do we see that working for them long term to go 10 more years? So, my question to that is I'm actually going to be the opposed view, and I'm going to say I don't think they will last 10 more years. I think this works for now, but one or both of them are going to get tired of this dynamic. And I feel that, yes, things can work for a very long time, but at the same time, we're humans. And like Shani said, rather than looking out for sex outside, we tend to think, do the human connect to that part of their mind where they're thinking, okay, maybe I want something different? What happens when one of them goes through a career change and then the other one is home more often? Are they going to be in, a great place, or are they going to be used to them being gone where seeing them actually may make them mad? I don't know. So, a lot of things going on. So, Mrs. Best, do you think this dynamic works at all?
Demanding schedules, stressful jobs, opposite schedules, dynamic when together, commence date night is planned once a month. I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll work. If complacency is a huge factor, that's never good for anything. Complacency, counselors and mental health workers will support me on this. Complacency is one of the most dangerous things that we could do as humans. And it's one of the things that sitting in is not really good at. It's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to be content, but to be complacent means you have no intent of coming out of that moment.
Yes.
And that's not good, especially in a marriage. The other thing I don't think is good, even though most people would look at this and say, oh, but when they together, they get along. They got a date night planned and all of that. Let me tell you the fastest thing that'll kill a relationship. Knowing what to expect all the damn time. If I know that on Wednesdays I'm having sex and on Saturdays, on the third Saturday of every month, I'm going on a date, it takes the excitement out of the date. It takes the excitement out of the sex because I'm expecting for it to come. I think that surprising each other is a good thing. But then another reason I don't think they're going to last, because they'll get bored with that, complacent, which will kill the marriage. It's okay to have demanding schedules. I pretty much do YouTube almost as many hours, maybe 5 hours every night. If you're committed to your channel, I'm doing something on YouTube. And then in addition to that, I'm a full-time graduate student. I also work full-time as a social worker and often have to do overtime and things like that. So if you combine all those hours, my work week is over like 90 hours and things like that. My husband is also a full-time student of cybersecurity at a 4-year degree. He works full-time as well. So we both have demanding schedules, but we have the same schedules. You can have a demanding schedule in a relationship. We both have stressful jobs, very stressful jobs. He works in public safety in the city of Oakland. Google Oakland, okay? He got to wear a bulletproof vest at work. That's how crazy. And then my job, I'm a social worker in San Francisco dealing with crackheads and fentanyl people linked over like the letter K in the alphabet and shit. So we both have stressful jobs, but he works 6 to 2:30. I work 8 to 4. So it works. We have similar schedules. If you have a demanding schedule, a stressful job, and your schedule is entirely opposite from your partner, it's not going to work. Somebody's going to have to give up their career. It kind of reminds me like that couple in Lioness, that show on Paramount Plus with Zoe Saldana. She's a lioness in the damn CIA, and the husband is a doctor, a pediatric surgeon. So it's like, and the marriage, a plot of the show is barely hanging on. So it's problematic. You need to see your partner. That's why a lot of housewives end up divorced, because they don't see their men.
So yeah, this couple, both Brian and Celestial, have been together for 10 years. So, which is a huge milestone, because I believe both of them had these careers before they were married. So at least that's how I read the story. So to me, I feel like for them, we wish you the best. We hope for the best, but y'all have to make some serious changes if y'all really want this to work. I'm not saying give up your careers, either one of you, but what I will say is being complacent in your relationship, as Mrs. Best said, that's very dangerous, because that means there's no element of growth there. And like Shani said in the comment, what if one day y'all want kids? How is that going to factor in? I'm actually going to
read the comments because I don't want to ignore them. As James said, are they both going to want kids at the same time? Is one going to want to have kids? The other one say no kids, no ever. Yes, here come Wednesday, same old hump day. Looks like she's agreeing. But the kids thing is a valid question, because no matter what the intention is in a relationship, especially a marriage, only one person can carry the kid.
Yes.
So that,
and the one person does the dangerous job as opposed to the other one.
Right. Exactly. So she's probably going to have to be on. My brother's an electrician at construction sites, and he says they have women that come on there. They get in relationships, they get pregnant, and they're pretty much told you can't work the whole time, go on disability, which is not a lot. So that's definitely a headache. And then she got to heal from it, maternity leave. And then how you going to be there for your kid if dad, Brian is in Italy on Monday, but then in Guam on Saturday, and then in Nashville, Tennessee, or bumfuck Mississippi? You don't know where he going to be. He could miss the birth. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
So this was a crazy. I told her about this couple. I was like, this is a crazy ass dynamic. And then to mention that she's a black woman and he's a white man, I was like, okay, so then there's a whole nother element, a factor. Nothing wrong with interracial relationships. I highly encourage them. But
I will say this: I do think that black men are less accepting and harder on black women that are demanding. Because my sister does content, follow Naima Travels, over 50K on TikTok. And so it requires her to be all over the place, literally all over the place. And then she also is running a huge nonprofit in San Francisco. Her man seems cool. He helped her walk the dog, pay the rent. He do all the things for her. Me, if I'm on YouTube too much, Mr. Best be like, I shouldn't have to look at my snack and not be able to eat it. Excuse me? So I feel like, just from what I hear from my friends and seeing the people who interracially date, that could be another benefit to interracially dating, because certain races are more quiet. I would just say that.
Yes, definitely. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next couple. Oh yeah, they are an interracial couple. Brian and Celeste are an interracial couple. They did have backstory, but I didn't feel like going into that. I just want the issues because I had to put this together in a day's time. So yes, so sorry y'all if
Great.
I didn't tell
It
their
looks great.
backstory.
It
Yes,
looks great. And you gave us enough.
yes. So we're gonna move on to our next couple. So we have our married couple of 3 years. They're entrepreneurs. Brandon is a barber, and Kimberly is a hairstylist slash manager. They both work 80 hours a week. Money is tight. Brandon had 3 kids prior, and Kimberly is 80K in debt. Their commitment is sex life is amazing, always in each other's presence. So they work together. Opposed, terrible communication skills. So they're terrible. I didn't want to put them all here because it was too many to list. They constantly argue. They argue about his children because she doesn't get along with one of the children's mothers. They used to be friends. So that was one issue. They also she doesn't get along with his mother either because the mother actually, in a wedding where someone says, I object, the mother actually stood up and said, I object. And it was because of her 80K in debt. So, and boy, and men, stop telling your mamas people's business like that. That mama did not need to know that information at all. So, they've been married 3 years. So, the question I'm posing for Mrs. Best, since they only been married for 3 years, do you think they will make it to year 5 based on what you know of them now? She tried her hardest to say, because sometimes people like a toxic situation. Sometimes people like things like this. But this is too much.
Here's the thing. Experts, scientists, statistics, everything you could look at, people hate to hear this. Having kids makes your relationship more difficult, and they are actually a leading cause for divorce and or separation. They've only been together 3 years. They're entering the marriage with more debt than I owe in student loans. And of course, the sex life is amazing, but sex is not going to give you a relationship. They could be having the sex without him having to take on her debt. And they have terrible communication skills, which makes me question. I think people think they're having good sex until you have good sex with somebody who you also communicate with, because then you're in sync in more ways than one. And the sex is better, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't think these people will make it past the 6th year. And then I think that they will still stay married, because it doesn't give a couple that can afford the $449 divorce fee to file. I feel like this is one of them old Negro spiritual couples that's going to stay together, even though they ain't lived together in forever. I had a friend whose boyfriend, his parents were like that. They were married for like 56 years, but they had not really officially been together in like 30 of them. She had her room, he had his room. They didn't want to fight over the house. They agreed not to bring their people in there. They still live together and they're married, but they're like not together. So this couple will end up like
that. So some of their terrible communication skills, as I said, she does not get along with one of the children's mothers. She used to be friends with her, from what she explained. I'm assuming that was her that explained that. For me, that should have been something that should have been worked out before y'all got married. I don't know if it's like a Erica and Yandy situation where one felt like he had the man first and then she took him and they used to be friends. I don't know how that situation goes, but that's definitely unfortunate because that will make that child resent you. And that's going to be terrible. Another thing is, Kimberly, you didn't explain why you were 80K in debt. I needed you to explain that in the thing, because
you definitely ain't got no degree, girl.
Yeah, so I need
that much debt and y'all still money is tight.
Yeah. Is the money tight because you 80,000 in debt and you got to pay? Because now they're taking people to court now, y'all. Banks are suing people now. They're not playing with y'all no more. So is that what it is, Kimberly? I mean, I needed more information. I did, but from what I put in here, this was enough to say y'all are definitely on a path. I feel like y'all shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. I feel like y'all should have waited until maybe some of that debt's paid off and until to have better relationship with the kids, and also make sure y'all communication level is better
Oh, and
before
then they
getting
both
married.
got jobs that you gotta get your own insurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shanny said, no, I don't see this working out if they both work in hair. So it's more likely they both work in the same places. She got all the issues with his side of the family. There's no need. The sex life is probably great because all they do is have an angry makeup sex or angry sex. Preach. They're going to be married for 60 years, but have been separated for the last 57 years. You know what? They both fighting over this man, and in another 2 to 3 years, he's probably gonna be with another chick that y'all both gonna be arguing with. It gives Kirk and Rashida just minus the questionable age difference.
Yeah. Oh, and let me put on record, these is not these actual people. These are people that I found.
They look like stock photos.
Yeah, these people. So I just want to make sure we're not trying to look up these people real life and use these pictures to find them. These is models, y'all. Same with the other one. Those are models. They did not have pictures of themselves when they were telling the story, whoever was telling their story.
Just
So
see
yeah.
the disclaimer in the description.
Yes. All righty. So is there anything else we're going to talk about with this couple, or we like to move on to the next couple?
We know these people, like Shani said, married for 60 years, separated for 57 of them.
Nice. So now we have our engaged couple of 7 years. Byron is a postal worker and Stephanie is a teacher. They are both home by 5. Stephanie cooks every night. Byron does the dishes every night. Both have struggling income. They have no kids. Commence, their sex life is great. Both love what they do in career and both love spending time with each other. Oppose, have not set a wedding date and never been on a vacation. So we have some things to unpack here when it comes to them. Now, idealistically, they are living a very normal, I would say, married couple life. When it comes to their career professions, Stephanie cooks, Byron does the dishes. That's a fair trade. Struggling incomes, I have done both professions, so I know what those incomes pay. Having no kids, that definitely helps, but that does scare me if Stephanie not on birth control and he accidentally shoots the club up and they have a baby. The fact that they've been together 7 years and never been on a vacation kind of concerns me. The fact that they have not set a date for their wedding and they've been together 7 years now. I don't remember if that's 7 years engaged or 7 years together. That's slipping my mind, but we'll just make it up and say it's 7 years engaged. That is crazy, y'all. I feel like when it comes to an engagement, you should not be engaged no longer than 2 to 3 years. You should be having a wedding date set and you should be getting married. So yes, that's definitely what I'm gonna say there. Glad the sex life is great, so that means that they're compatible. I'm glad that they both love their jobs and both love spending time with each other. So I don't see much wrong here, but I definitely would say, Byron and Stephanie, y'all need to plan, a vacation. I don't care if it's a road trip. I don't care if it's literally you going to, Southern Cal, I forgot where they were in the world, but I don't care if y'all just take a drive up to the next state over and stay at a hotel and do, some kind of staycation. Do something, because that's a long time to be working and never on a vacation. These comments, Shani, you was killing me.
There, I'm gonna actually go through the comments before I give my take. I want to appreciate and acknowledge everybody in the chat. I appreciate everybody being here. We also want to take a moment and say shout out to our replay gang. We appreciate you. We are a new channel. We appreciate every single human that watches, because you don't have to, especially on a Friday night, child. But let us get through the comments. I did leave a comment: engaged for 7 years, no vacay. I said, what the fuck are they doing? 7 years is too long to wait, waste of time. But I will give my further opinion once James finishes. Let me see here. Sounds like what they call the honeymoon stage that never ended. That never ended. She's obviously happy if she cook every night, but they could also just be broke because the post office don't pay them people enough.
They
do
don't.
not pay them enough.
They
just
don't.
Especially here in California. I'm like, what? No, Stephanie is on birth control. She's a teacher. She don't want to deal with no more kids. Oh yeah. I don't blame her. There's a lot of teachers that I've had that don't have kids and they seem okay with it. That's like, damn, are we that bad? The sex life is great because they got all the time on their hands and they ain't got no kids. I ain't got no kids, and sometimes I don't want to have them because I have a great sex life. I know that's TMI, but why add children to that? And they sure as hell don't pay teachers no matter what state. Teachers are not paid enough.
Teachers are not paid enough. That is the profession that is a beneficial factor for other human beings, sometimes multiple of them. Why do y'all not think to pay them what they truly deserve? I feel like teachers should not make anything less than $100,000.
Yeah. And that's in other states, because in California, they're getting that and it's not enough. And then they got to teach 60 kids sometimes at a time with parents that act like they was dropped on their head. But sit down, Bug. I don't know if the couple is. I need to know more about this couple to like judge if they're gonna make it. Like, I like that they're both home by 5, but why is no one doing anything to better themselves in the relationship?
That's where complacency comes in as well. Because this was going to be my advice. Byron and Stephanie, y'all are way too comfortable with your life. Way too comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Let me finish, please, because I'll forget what I was saying. But I don't think that they're going to make it. It's nice that they're both home by 5, but just because you're home at the same time, eventually home has to get boring. It does come back to complacency, but I think it also comes into like individual work ethic. Some people are okay with working regular jobs. I know a lot of postal employees be like, I'm gonna deal with it for the benefits. But you could come up with a side hustle, Byron. And then I'm like, y'all cooking every night, but why is she doing that and grading papers? So it seems like he's okay with her carrying a lot of the heavier load. I just don't understand. And they don't have a date for the wedding. They've never been on vacation. Go to the courthouse. I know y'all got an extra $200. Why haven't they gone to the courthouse? So I feel like there's more going on in this relationship. I don't think they'll make it at all.
I don't think they'll make it either, because to me, to be with someone for 7 years and not even take something as small as even a simple road trip, or to do something just very quick and easy, that's crazy to me. Like, I feel like
that's a thing, right?
Yeah, staycation. Yeah, I said that.
Do something.
I just feel like, once again, either he's old fashioned and just feels like working is just enough and he doesn't want to do anything else. And I feel like, based on what I was reading, Stephanie is very passive. So, because to me, it was just like, we have a great relationship. She says she doesn't have any intentions on setting a wedding date because right now they can't afford to have a wedding. And just like
you said, if you can't afford to have a wedding, that comes back again. Why are you okay with it? If you haven't changed jobs, if your income hasn't changed, if nothing has changed and you're not going on vacation, why can't you afford a wedding? It makes me wonder what type of wedding she wants. I feel like maybe she has higher unrealistic expectations, and something you said about her being passive. Maybe he's passive too and don't want to be like, look, bitch, I'm happy delivering the mail. And that's just what it is. We could have a wedding, but it got to be small. And usually men are okay. Like, if you say to a man, we could just go to the courthouse, most straight men are be like, all right, I canceled my wedding. My dad.
The gay ones too. When I tell you, I would just have a barbecue out in the yard. And
apparently that's a man thing. Because my dad was planning a wedding, was going to pay for it, was very excited. My parents are divorced, but they still kind of like each other. It was a problem. So I canceled my wedding. I didn't want to deal with the family drama. And Mr. Best was like, well, we still finna get married. And on a Wednesday, it's like, let's go. I'll pay. I'm like, oh, okay. So you could do it simple. But I feel like the chick, Stephanie, especially being a teacher, she wants to invite all her colleagues.
Yeah.
She wants to invite the vice principal. She wants to invite her favorite students and their parents. the community. I feel like she might want too much with the wedding, but not willing to say it.
Okay. And
Not
so,
the 4-day Amanda wedding.
nah. So here's the thing. Do you think that do you think, because in my mind, I feel like Byron makes more money. Do you really feel like he should be the one that proposes a vacation for her?
I
And
don't
like
think a
this,
postal employee make more than a teacher, unless that's how it is in Arizona. But
maybe.
I highly doubt that because the post office in all 50 states don't seem to pay a livable wage.
No, they don't. No, I'm being like, unless you in the factory, which they never did clarify if he was in the factory or not. But unless you in the factory, that's the only way I see you making
Yeah.
money.
The factory or their that admin one we got in West Oakland off the
Yes.
freeway.
Yeah.
Somewhere like that, a hub, a distribution center, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's just delivering the mail, he ain't getting much. If you delivering the mail or if you're doing anything front facing at the post office where people could walk in, the people that need more pay and they not getting enough.
Well, the reason why I may have said that is because I don't know if she works full year term, because you know how some teachers have the summer break and there's
Yeah,
not
but
paid.
when they go on summer break, they still get a check. Usually the state gives them disability and then they also get the write-off later on the taxes.
Right.
My aunt's a teacher, and then I have 2 friends who just became teachers. Shout out to them. But yeah, I feel like she probably makes more still.
You think she makes more? Okay, maybe.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just saying, for me, I feel like, well, even still, like I'm still stuck on the fact that they've never been on a vacation and been together.
They got PTO. Years. Both of their jobs come with PTO.
Exactly.
Both of their jobs probably come, especially with the post office, which is federal. Federal jobs always come with perks. Like they may pay you less, but you're going to have great insurance, or they're going to give you discounts when you go to rental car companies, things like that. And the same thing with teachers.
I feel like y'all also should have got married. Maybe if she drops the insurance and then gets on his insurance, maybe that will save them a lot more money too.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like maybe that would be a good solution. Byron and Stephanie, if y'all happen to catch this, like maybe y'all should do that. Maybe if you do decide to do a courthouse, yes, make a move somewhere. Like I don't like. Literally, y'all can just go to a gazebo in a park and get married, have the preacher sign the marriage certificate, and just do it like that. Y'all do not need no extravagant wedding. Like y'all do not need that.
Or
like,
you could make your one vacation a destination wedding and just keep it small and make the destination the backdrop. PTO, paid time off. And yes, I believe most employees, teachers, and not on federal holidays, if you work, you get paid usually, unless you just at a job that ain't shit.
From what I understood, one of those weeks is an admin week, so they have to come in and work. And then the other one, like Christmas week or New Year's, they probably have those days off. But yeah,
the federal holidays they'll pay them for, but for like President's Day and the small holidays, they do call them admin days. I don't know what they do there. My friend teaches in Richmond, and she was like, we just go over students and how to prepare for the rest of the year. I was like, okay, at least they're doing something.
At least they're doing something with y'all. The last thing I'm going to...
Let's get the comments first. Shani said, if I ever get married, I'm good at doing it at the courthouse and then take me on the plane and have me on the beach by the afternoon.
That's good.
That's a smart idea.
Also, one thing they did not expand on is, what do they do with spending time with each other? What does that look like? Because if y'all ain't never been on a vacation,
it's like, are you going on dates?
And then struggling income, like what does spending time with each other look like? As I said, they didn't really elaborate too much like the last couple. I knew very extreme details, but this couple was kind of like, just gave their synopsis, gave what they do, and and they say that this relation works for them, but I just don't understand why he would propose to you and then there's no intention on marrying you. That's the first thing,
because he's already got the woman in the house cooking his food every night. She's coming home on time. She ain't giving him no kids and acting like crazy baby mama or expecting more out of him because of it. And on top of that, he's getting good sex. If I was him, I wouldn't be pressed either. We good. Why break it if it, what was
I wonder what Stephanie cooks every night.
she got to be cooking something.
Because I'm
But it
telling
can't be
you,
that great. Because if a woman could really cook, that man will marry you on a Wednesday and make you call out of work.
on Thursday, Friday. Yep, you're right. But that was pretty much all of our couples. I didn't want to make this too long. So, you know, we're just giving our opinions. This is only our opinions. There are many answers for many different situations. I don't see none of the couples really lasting long term, even though we did have a married couple of 10 plus years on here, but I don't see any of the rest of them really working out because if you have realistic expectations, these relationships will be in better standings. So I did like doing this. This was a lot of fun. I don't think they'll survive the different lifestyles. Mrs. Best, what do you think?
I don't think any of these couples will survive. I think the one that may have a shot, the flight attendant and the construction worker, they kind of have a shot. But even then, I feel like construction workers, that's a seasonal job. So I'm sure there's periods where she can't work. And flight attendants don't make a lot of money, but work a lot of hours. So
she's definitely the breadwinner.
Yeah. So I just don't think it'll work. I don't know.
Especially if you're a construction worker in Phoenix for the city, you making $50 an hour. So you're
a construction worker or doing anything where you building something for a city or the government, you're paid well. But the problem is, I don't know. That's just someone gone too much. But someday we'll find some good couples. What works for some or what we think may not work. Some couples can thrive for 50 and 60 years that way. Everybody's different.
That's why I chose these couples, because realistically, I've only seen one out of the equation of the couples, and that's the hairstylist and the barber. I've seen that dynamic a lot. So that one was familiar to me. But the construction worker and the flight attendant was really different because I was like, whoa, like, how does that work? Like, that's crazy. And then the other couple that's been engaged for 7 years who have the limited income and everything, that one I think is familiar, but some people go into debt for vacations. I'm sorry, they do.
No, some people go into debt for vacations, which is crazy. But to everybody in the chat, before we go into our replay gang, we ask you the question: do you think a relationship can actually survive when two people live totally different lifestyles? Let us know in the comments. Even when we are not live, we are still going to engage with you, beautiful people. And we also hope you consider subscribing. Please.
Yes. All righty. Well, thank you guys once again for being here. We definitely appreciate you guys. We're definitely going to keep this channel going. We'll let you guys know what the next topic is on our community board. That way you guys are prepared and hopefully join us in giving your expertise and questions, because we would love to hear from you as well. Shout out to the replay game. Mrs. Best, thank you for being here tonight. And you guys have a great rest of your day or evening.
Or day. Bye. Oh, they want the Married to Medicine looks. I did send the looks to James. Shani is speaking of this because James does do pop culture and looks on his channel. I'm sure he will get that out to you guys. I encourage everyone to go to his channel, hit the subscribe button, because he'll be live tomorrow on my channel as well as his own channel. And I'm sure he will go over that then, unless you want to explain it now, because I don't know what you got planned and I don't want to overwhelm you.
No, we're not going to overwhelm. We're just going to talk. We're going to do it either Saturday or Sunday.
Oh, wow. That's sooner than later. There you go, Shani. Saturday or Sunday. So keep your notifications on to the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel on YouTube. He will be, honestly, James will be busy this weekend. He's got a lot of weekend shows. And then we'll see you guys tomorrow on my channel as well. Love and light to everybody, and we'll see you next time. Adios.
Adios.
My word. Oh, yeah. Just like 1, 2, 3. Everything I say, I learn. Oh, yeah. Well, that's for sure. That's my word.